Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Natsu conquered 10 girls in harem? Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video. Go support and follow the Hayagiku for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. Let's start this video. Iron Dragon's Iron Fist. The hooded man evaded Natsu's attack and it hit the floor, creating a small crater. Cross-locked black rocks hold Natsu's feet and arms, stopping his movements. "Hide me like a man, you bastard," Natsu shouted. "I don't want to fight." The cloaked man approached him. Fire Dragon's Roar. The man quickly docked and tapped Natsu's chest. "Do thump, tha thump. I simply would like to play a game with you, Natsu Dragneel." The man smirked at him. What did you do to me?" Natsu started spitting blood. "If you truly value your life, I want you to play my game." Natsu gritted his teeth. "The game is simple, conquer 10 girls hard and the curse will be gone," he said while walking away. The rocks holding Natsu quickly crumbled. What do you mean?" Natsu dropped on the ground, his body felt heavier than before, preventing him from standing up. The man stopped and faced him. "Make them fall for you. If you didn't do it, you will die in 40 days. Is he serious?" Natsu's eyes widened. "Oh, before I forget, you must not tell anyone about this game. If you tell a person or find out what the game is about, your time will be shortened by 10 days. That's all. Have fun, Dragneel." The man disappeared in thin air. Natsu. He watched his team approach him as he slowly lose consciousness. Is it real? If it is, who? Natsu slowly opens his eyes as the morning light hits his face. What happened? Natsu sat up and started stretching his arms. He then looked around and saw a red present on the table. There was a letter attached to it. He grabbed the present and read the note. "Dear Natsu, I know you're dense." Natsu's eyes started to twitch. The hell was that supposed to mean? And who sent this? "Here's a little present for you. I know this will make your game easier." Natsu's eyes widened as he read the letter. So it wasn't a dream. "But this bracelet, you will know who to conquer first. The red gem will turn blue if it finds a suitable girl for you, and there are 10 beads in the bracelet. One of them will turn pink if you successfully conquered that girl's heart. Oh, and like I said, I made it easier for you, but where's the fun in that, right? If you somehow broke their hearts, that will not count, and that will be a deduction of 5 is all. Good luck and have fun. No name." Natsu burned the paper as he gritted his teeth. "I'm not that kind of guy who toys with a girl's heart. And what does he mean to have fun?" He opened the gift and saw a golden bracelet. It has 10 black beads as chains and a dragon carved in the middle of the red gem. "I'm glad you're awake." Natsu. Urza approached him. "Hey Urza, how long was I out?" Natsu asked as he put on the bracelet. "A day and a half." "Who's that from?" Natsu. Urza asked out of curiosity. A friend gave it to me." What a shitty excuse. Sweat dropped and noticed the gem turned to blue. "Ah, I see. Well, I just dropped by to give you the medicine, drink it. I'll see you later." Urza dropped the bottles on the table and left. Natsu's soul started to come out. "Don't tell me, Urza, I need to conquer her," Natsu shouted at his necklace. Natsu saw Urza eating a cake at the bar. He approached Urza and sat next to her. Natsu, did you drink the medicine I gave you earlier?" Urza said while taking a bite of her cake. Natsu quickly nodded. "How can I conquer Urza? There's no way." "Good. Say Urza, you wanna go on a job with me?" Natsu asked nervously as he started sweating bullets. "Sure, I'll go get loot." "And no, just the two of us." Natsu turned away and gritted his teeth. "This is stupid. There's no way Urza will go on a job with just the two of us." "Oh, sure, why didn't you say so?" "Our realty." Natsu stood up in shock. Urza nodded and smiled. "I'll go pick a job, meet me at the station in 1 hour." "There's no way I can conquer Urza, she's family." Natsu cursed himself. Does this stupid thing even work? Natsu tapped the gem on his bracelet. Natsu sighed. "Anyway, I need some help from an expert." "Do you need something like Natsu?" Loke said with a smile. "Why yeah, I need some help about conquering a girl's heart," Natsu said while scratching the back of his head. "You're not talking about Lucy, are you?" Natsu can sense a killing intent on Loke. "What? She's like a sister to me." Anyways, Loke removed his blue shades. "To win a maiden's heart is to become aggressive, show her that you want her." Natsu nodded in astonishment. I see. Bonk. "That's not how you win a girl's heart. Idiot." Lucy smacked Like in the head. Lucy." Natsu jumped in shock. "She heard us. You should have known better." Natsu, asking a pervert like him. Lucy glared at Loke, who started sinking. "Putting that aside, to win a girl's heart is to just be yourself." "Really?" Lucy nodded and her eyes started sparkling. "Here, read this." Lucy handed 3 books at Natsu. "Those are some love novels I borrowed from a friend." Lucy laughed nervously. "That will help you." "Thank you, Lucy." Natsu stood up. "Oh, by the way, Natsu. Who's the lucky girl?" Lucy said in a teasing tone. Natsu stupidity incoming. Urza. Natsu said confidently with his signature grin on his face. Loke and Lucy shouted in unison. 1 hour later. Natsu arrived at the station. She's not here yet. Natsu sighed and pulled out the novel Lucy gave him. Hey, are you cold, Serena? Here, take my jacket. Thank you, Kima. Sorry I'm late, Urza said while pulling her mountain-like luggage. No worries, I just got here too, Natsu said while he put the novel back in his bag. What are you reading, Natsu? Urza asked. Oh, love novel. Urza suddenly blushed. I didn't know Natsu read such things. Let's go, the train will depart in any minutes. Both of them aboard the train and Natsu's motion sickness started to kick in. Urza just smiled at him. Come rest on my lap, that will make you at ease. Thanks. Natsu crawled next to her and rested his head on her lap. What job did you take? Urza smiled at him and started combing his hair in S-Class 1, we just need to destroy a dark guild. Oh really? Sounds awesome. Now go to sleep, our destination is still far away. At an unknown location. Sweet land. Natsu started the floor. Let's keep going, Natsu, we need a place to stay, it's already noon, Urza said while leading the way. They arrived at a classy hotel, the only hotel in town, according to the people living there. 2 rooms please. I am very sorry madam, there is only 1 room left available. Urza was gonna object but got cut by Natsu. I don't mind sharing a room with you, Urza, Natsu said while reading the love novel. Very well then, we'll take the room, Urza said with a smile. At the room. I'll sleep on the floor, Natsu said while laying a futon in the floor. Urza looked at him with a red tint on her face. Is the book Natsu's reading affecting him? Urza, Natsu called her, snapping out of her trance. Is there something on my face? No, why are you reading those love novels earlier? Urza immediately blushed. Huh? Oh. I'm trying to win you over. Natsu said with a grin. What? Urza's face started to get more redder. What are you saying, Natsu? Be aggressive just like Loke said. I love you, Urza. Do thump, tha thump. And Natsu, this is happening too fast. Circa can't. Urza slapped herself mentally and gained her composure back. I'm sorry, but I don't feel the same way. Urza frowned at rejecting Natsu. Her. Natsu looked left and right. Are you okay, Natsu? Urza approached Natsu thinking that he had hurt his feelings that much. Her. Natsu looked at his bracelet and it started glowing her. Natsu quickly at Urza and both of their eyes widened, and just like magic, Urza remembered every moment she had with Natsu. Natsu quickly broke the ice. Sorry, my body moved on its own. I'm going for a walk. He quickly exits the room. Urza remained silent and slowly touched her net. Crash. Dark chains. Dark chains wrapped around her wrists and feet. So you're the fairies who accepted to destroy our girl, eh? A man with a half-masked smirk. So why don't we have a little chat, Miss Titania? Take her. Who are you? The man approached her. I am Ulrach. The masked man punched Urza's gut, making her unconscious. Natsu walked down the hall towards the exit of the hotel. Why did my body move on its own? You made me repeat myself multiple times, I have no choice but to control you. Who said that? Natsu shouted while looking around. He caught the attention of all the guests in the lobby. You don't have to shout, you look like an idiot. Natsu quickly runs outside. Where are you? He grunted. Crash. Heads up, the boy said playfully. He looked up and saw more than 4 men carrying a woman. Urza. Natsu's eyes widened as he started tailing the men that took her. Natsu sniffed the air, and that scent was from Urza. Shit. It is Urza who kidnapped her. Natsu grind his teeth. Beats me, and look at the bead, we already conquered her. Natsu looked at his bracelet, and the first bead was pink. The men entered an abandoned hotel, the moss and plants surrounding the building gave the hint. Natsu stopped and massaged his temples. Why do I hear you inside my head? You don't have to talk out loud, I can hear your thoughts, and I can control your body whenever I want. Then who are you? I am the one who is living inside that bracelet, you can call me Amor. The distorted voice slowly became very feminine. How is that possible? What kind of magic bracelet did that asshole give me? I'll explain it later, she needs your help right now. Right. Natsu shouted as he charged towards the hotel. Urza slowly opens her eyes, with a groan, she looked down and saw a choker on her neck. I'm glad you're awake, Titania, the man in mask smirked. What do you want from us? Urza shouted. Simple, I want to pluck off some fairy wings. Equip. Urza shouted. The masked man laughed at her. You really think I'd let you do that? He opened the cell's door and approached her. That choker is an anti-magic device, I stole it from the council. His hand slowly touched her thigh. How about we have a little fun, he said with a seductive tone. Urza struggled to break the chain but failed. Struggle all you want, he slowly lifted her skirt. Natsu? Urza shouted. As if in the wall next to them exploded and Natsu came out of the rubble. Urza. Natsu quickly run to her. Natsu with a tear escaping her eye. Natsu tried destroying the chains that wrapped around her wrists and ankles. Are you alright? Natsu asked anxiously. Urza nodded, with the last chain holding Urza destroyed, she quickly hugged Natsu. How did you know Urza was cut off by the masked man who started laughing. What a touching reunion, but I'm afraid I have to kill you both. Two dark chains darted out of his left palm towards Urza. Natsu quickly pushed her out of the way and the chain hit him and pierced his left arm and lower rib. Natsu. Urza cried as she struggled to break her choker. The famous salamander, I am honored to kill you first. A spikier chain came out of his right hand. Natsu tried to move but failed. Did I forget to inform you? Those special chains drain your magic till you're all dry. The time slowed as he threw the spike chain towards Natsu. Are you really gonna let him die? Amor asked. The boy always got into a situation like this, I'm sure he will make it out of here alive. A much more deeper voice grunted. We both know he won't make it, Amor said sadly. Just this time, I want him to be stronger than this. Amor giggled at him. He is strong, he is just reckless. Red aura started to come out of Natsu. The spike chain that was launched towards him dissolved and the chains that pierced his arm and lower rib disintegrated and the wounds quickly healed. Impossible. Ulrich started stuttering. Natsu's eyes slowly started to look like a pair of dragon eyes. The much more darker flames came out of his hands. Urza watches in amazement at Natsu. Natsu took a deep breath of fire dragon's roar. Dark red flames came out of his mouth and head towards Ulrich. Finish this fast, the power he lent to you is only temporary, Amor noted Natsu. CC chainmail. Dark chains started to wrap around his body and became an armor. I learned this one from Laxus, Fire Dragon's breakdown fist. Natsu punches the air, releasing a giant high-speed fire blast in the shape of a fist. The fist hits Ulrich, destroying his chain armor and creating a massive explosion, making him fly out of the building. Natsu then turned to Urza. Are you okay? Natsu easily broke the choker. Urza hugged him tightly once more. Thank you, Natsu. She broke the hug and cupped him in her hands and held him deeply. After 10 seconds, they broke the I love you too, Natsu. Once again, Urza gave him a hug. Natsu was shocked with a red tint on his face. He never really thought that the great Titania will fall for him. Good for you, Amor giggled at him. You owe me explanations. Natsu grunted. Alright, but do you know what a harem is? Amor asked. Natsu broke the hug. Let's get going, we got a dark guild to destroy, Natsu said with a grin. Urza smiled at him and nodded. What's a harem? Natsu asked Amor out of curiosity. As expected, talk to Urza now and repeat after me. What will you make me say? Just do it. Hey Urza. Urza stopped and faced Natsu. Yes. I love you. Natsu gulped. I love you. Urza's face turned completely red. I already knew that. Please understand that a dragon needs multiple mates. Natsu stopped. What the hell are you trying to make me say? Ugh, just say it. I'm helping you, Natsu. We both know that once you break a conquered girl's heart, it will not count. Are you okay, Natsu? Urza instantly frowned at what Natsu's face are making. Please understand that a dragon needs multiple mates. It's an instinct we can't control. Great, I lied. You didn't lie, Natsu, seriously, Igneel didn't even bother telling you that. You know, Natsu accidentally shouted out loud. He quickly covered his mouth. I am Urza I Circa. Here at him once again. I don't care if I have to share, I just need to know that you love me and I love you. Whoever you choose next, I know you will love us equally. Natsu was stunned about Urza's answer. He quickly smiled at her. You bet. Day after tomorrow and after that day. Natsu finally laid back to his bed. Finally. I can rest. Natsu yawned. How was the job, Natsu? Happy asked while getting some fish in his secret stash. It was awesome, Natsu grinned at Happy. Natsu closed his eyes. You awake? Yeah, I really never sleep. Why? Even if I want to, I can't. I don't have a physical body anymore. Why, you had a physical body, alright. That's the last straw, you better explain. I already told you that I'll explain it to you, didn't I? Besides, I won't reveal any important detail. I don't care. Alright, where do I begin? I was a dragon and a certain mage put me in this prison. Ever since, I became a jewelry. Really, so that's why you know, Natsu said excitedly in his thought. Why, yeah, let's go with that. How did Urza quickly fall in love with me? The first thing you did was infused with memory magic. All great memories you have with her will be recalled on her mind, thus raising affection towards you. I really don't understand that. Then who gave me the power to fight that masked guy? It's a secret. Damn it, so what kind of dragon are you? Fire. Water. I'm not really an elemental type dragon like your father, I'm more like an ordinary dragon. Lame. It's not lame. Natsu laughed at her in his thought. Happy looked at Natsu's sleeping figure. I wonder what he's dreaming about. I hope it's fish Happy lied down next to. So basically, that's it. That's everything you need to know. What the hell? I was expecting a long dramatic story. Good night Natsu. Wait a minute. You don't sleep. Amor didn't answer him. Briati need more explanation. Next morning. Natsu headed towards the guild and he noticed a certain red-headed girl was waiting for him in the entrance. The Urza. Gee, good morning. Urza quickly clung to Natsu's arm, making Happy's jaw drop on the ground. Good morning Natsu. Urza said with a smile. What the heck is wrong with Urza today? Natsu started to blush. She's more girly. Love can change people, Amor noted. Natsu slowly opened the door. First one to look at the door was Mikao, whose jaw dropped like Happy's. Mikao pointed at them with shaky fingers, then everyone got their attention, even, he dropped his jaw so hard that it broke the table he was sitting at. Ara, I didn't know you have the guts to confess to Natsu, Mira said with a teasing voice. Once again Natsu's bracelet turned blue. Go for it. Amor giggled at Natsu. Are you kidding me? Hisui. You must choose. Tomoe Fiori is having an argument with his daughter, Hisui. I don't want to marry a guy I don't know. Hisui shouted inside a room. It's tradition, my daughter. If you like it or not, you are getting married. Hisui hugged her knees tighter. How can I marry someone I don't love? A tear escaped her eye. After knowing about Urza and Natsu's relationship status, everyone celebrated by throwing them a party for the fairy tale's newest couple. Loke approached Natsu, who was eating at the bar. I'm glad you followed my tips, he proudly said with a smirk. Natsu faced Loke with a big grin. Yeah. Thanks for the tip. Anytime. Loke turned around and headed back to where Lucy was. And I need more tips if you don't mind. Loke quickly spun and faced Natsu. WW, what a player. Loke wiped his tear of joy. I'm not like that. It's just instincts, Natsu sighed. Well, does Urza know? Loke whispered. Yeah, she's fine. Abo. Natsu was stopped by Loke clenching his fist. Loke. You lucky bastard, Loke said while grinding his teeth. He quickly shook his head and regained composure. Anyways, I will help you. That's great. In one condition, you will fulfill my dreams and become the harem king. Once again, Loke break down in tears. Alright, Natsu sweat dropped. Loke cleared his throat. So who's the other one? It's Mira, he whispered to Light, causing him to back away. Alright, I really can't help you with this one, Loke said nervously. Eh? Why? Because Mira turned me down 15 times already. I tried everything. So I'm sorry Natsu, you're on your own. Natsu sweat dropped 15 times. Well yeah, with a hottie like her Natsu can't see. Loke started to get a nosebleed. Besides, there were tons of people confessed to Mira, but all of them got rejected painfully. Natsu's head dropped. Thanks for the help then. Oh wait Natsu, ask Elfman, maybe he can help you. Eh? Why Elfman? I'll just ask Lisana. Natsu stood up from his seat and headed towards Lisana, who is talking with Lucy. Loke quickly grabbed his wrist. I really wouldn't do that if I were you. Why is that? Natsu looked back at Loke. Trust me, it will make things much worse for you. Loke let go of his wrist. Well, see you later Natsu. What does he mean? Interesting. After the party and a goodbye from Urza, Natsu went home and headed to bed. Strauss residence. Good night Mirani, Elfnai. Lisana closed the door and sighed. She sat down on her bed and hugged the pillow tightly and rested her back on the wall. I moved on already. Why am I still getting hurt? Lisana tried to hold her tears. Why do I still love you Natsu? Natsu closed his eyes and tried to go to sleep. He faced left and right, shifting to much more comfortable positions. Why can't I sleep? He grunted. He noticed something glowing in his arm. It's blinking from black to pink. Hey Amor, what's happening? I don't know, maybe someone has fallen in love with you. After Amor explained, the blinking stopped. What happened? Amor snickered. She gave up on you. That fast? Natsu's eye twitched. Anyway, how can I conquer Mira? She's pretty popular with all the guys in the guild, no, in the whole country. I know you can do it, Natsu. Amor tried to boost Natsu's spirit. It's impossible. You won't know it if you try it. Natsu ignored her and tried to sleep again. Drip. Natsu opened his eyes and saw nothing but white. Where am I? Natsu asked to himself and heard a giggle. You're inside your brain. Natsu quickly looked back at who are you. Natsu blushed when he saw a long pink-haired teen, dark pink eyes, about his age. Her breasts are slightly bigger than Mira. She's wearing a white dress with a pink bow on the middle and a pair of white heels, but what surprised the most was her little pink dragon wings on her back. Nice to meet you in person, Amor said playfully with a smile. Amor. Natsu's eyes widened. Amor nodded. My full human name is Mayamora Venus, and this is my human form. How did you? I thought you were a dragon. Natsu shouted. Amor scratched her chin. Didn't I tell you that the mage imprisoned me, turned me into a human before being sealed? No you didn't. Amor giggled at him. My bad, my bad. Where are we by the way? Natsu asked as he looked around but saw nothing but white, and why is it so empty? Well it is your brain, Amor whispered. What was that? Natsu eye twitched. Nothing, like I said, we're on your head, let's just call this your dream room. Then how can you get into my dreams? Natsu asked. Well, when you wear the bracelet, I got all the access I need in your head and body, like memories and stuff. After seconds of silence, she caught Natsu staring at her. Why are you staring at me? Amor tilted her head. Sorry, you're just really cute in person, he said while scratching the back of his head. Amor blushed. What are you saying, Natsu? You're really pretty. Gave him a huge grin, causing her to blush even more. Did you find a way to capture that white-haired girl's heart? She quickly changed the topic. No actually, I never hang out with Mira since she became the barmaid. A chair appeared behind her and she took a seat. That's a problem. Eh? How did you do that? Natsu pointed his finger on the chair. Oh, this is your dream room so you can imagine anything you want and it will become real here, she explained. Natsu grinned evilly at her. Anything? Amor started to blush. What are you gonna do? 5 minutes later. Are you done now? Amor grumpily asked. Natsu imagined tons of food and left Amor sitting there in the corner. Are you even listening to me? Amor shouted, but Natsu ignored her and continued eating. Amor eye twitched and with a snap of a finger, the food disappeared. Hey. What the hell? Natsu grunted. We have important matters rather than eating, she said while tapping her feet on the white floor. Rig. Natsu opened his eyes and it was already morning, but something is odd. Natsu felt something warm and at the same time soft touching his back. Natsu quickly shifted around. Boobs. Natsu looked up and saw Urza sleeping. Urza. Natsu quickly jumped out of bed. Urza sat up and yawned. Morning, Natsu. What are you doing in my bed? Natsu started to blush when he saw Urza in her panties. I got lonely last night, Urza said while blushing. Ask Urza about Mira, Amor suggested. No Urza, about the second mate. Natsu said nervously. You already found one. Who? Urza asked. Mira. Do you need any help? Urza said calmly. She's taking this too easy. Why? Yeah, Natsu sat back on the bed. Urza hugged him from behind. Mira already likes you, all you need is to confess to her. She likes me. Natsu looked back at Urza in shock. Urza nodded. But I don't think she will accept my confession. I mean, they already know about us, but not about my instincts on getting multiple mates. Urza gave him a peck. Don't worry, she'll understand. Good morning, Mira. Natsu sat in the bar. Can I have breakfast? He laid his head on the counter. Of course. Where's Urza? Mira asked the dragon slayer. She said she needs to do some errands. So you missed her already? Mira said in a teasing tone. What? Natsu raised his head. That's why you look so troubled today, because you miss Urza, am I right? Mira gave a cute smile before heading towards the kitchen. Natsu sweat dropped. No, I'm troubled because of you. How the hell am I going to start this? Crash. Mira. Natsu got up and quickly ran to the kitchen. He found her lying on the floor. He quickly helped her stand up. And Natsu? Natsu touched her forehead. Mira. You're burning. Natsu shouted. It's nothing, Natsu, really. Mira gave him a smile. I can still work. Natsu carried her bridal style. No, you're not. Murahin quickly blushed. Natsu carried her towards the guild's infirmary. The other members are staring at them, can't hear them murmuring about him second timing. I mean, it's true he is second timing, but it's for his sake. Thank you, Natsu. No problem, you always take care of me and are happy when we don't have any money. Now it's my turn to take care of you. Natsu gave Mira a grin. Outside Magnolia. Boy, are you sure this is the location, mate? A man in a cowboy hat asked the other one who has a war mask on. This place. Alright. Time to kill some demons. Here, Mira, drink this. Natsu handed her a medicine which she happily accepted. Thank you, Natsu. Hi. Natsu removed the wet cloth on her forehead and replaced a new one. I never knew Natsu is so caring. Is that why Urza fell in love with him? Well, it's almost lunchtime, so I guess I'll cook you some lunch, Natsu said before leaving the room. Why? Mira was about to stop him, but then she realized I never really tasted Natsu's dish. Day, ma'am, do you perhaps know the location of this girl? A picture of Marahin Strauss was shown to a lady. Ah. Yes. Such a young nice girl. But she's not a demon, you know. The guy smirked. Can you tell me where she is? The woman pointed her finger towards the fairy tale guild. Let's do this, mate. He said excitedly. He pulled out a gun from his side pocket and pointed it at the guild. A bright orange magic circle appeared. Boom shot. He shot the gun while running with his partner. Now, what ingredients do I need again? Natsu is now wearing a chef hat and an apron. He looked at the cookbook one more time. Surprisingly, you're doing good, Natsu Amor complimented Natsu. I'm not really good at cooking, you know, he said while scratching the back of his head. No, about making Mira fall for you, the bracelet sweat dropped. Oh, I really didn't have that in mind, I just really want to. Natsu was cut off by a huge explosion in the kitchen. What the hell was that? Natsu shouted. You're pretty bad at cooking. Two men entered the guild with the hole they made in the kitchen. Day mate, is little Missy here? The man with the cowboy hat showed a picture of Moraine. Natsu's eyes widened. What do you want from her? He said coldly while removing the apron. Boy, what happened here? Gray opened the door. I believe this is only a one-on-two conversation. He pointed the gun towards Gray. Spark shot. A spark came out of his gun, but Gray quickly dodged it. Who the hell are they? Lame brain shouted. The hell should I know? Natsu shouted. Druba, search the building, I'll handle this bloody bogans. Tribal draw his sword and charge towards the exit. You ain't going nowhere. Natsu punched him in the face and flew back. Natsu's eyes widened as the man he punched poof. What? You're fast, you little shithead. The man smirked and drew two handguns and started firing directly at Natsu. Ice make. Wall protected Natsu from the incoming bullets. Protect her, I got this, Gray said while crunching his knuckles. Natsu nodded and run upstairs where the infirmary is. Mira was sleeping peacefully in her bed. A shadow silently came inside the door without opening it. The shadow morphed into a masked man and approached Mira. He looked at Mira and a sword made out of shadow appeared in his hand. Such a waste. He lifted his hand and pointed the sword in Mira's chest. After doing the sign of the cross, he thrust his sword into Mira's chest but got stopped midway by an explosion at the door. The masked man quickly looked at the door and saw a pink-haired boy. Mira? Natsu shouted. Mira quickly woke up and saw a black blade almost hitting her chest. The masked man pointed his other hand on Natsu's shadow grip. A shadow hand trapped him, unable to move. Take before Mira can use her takeover. The masked man thrust his sword into Mira's chest. Natsu's eyes widened as he watched his friend got stabbed in front of him. The time slowed down in his vision. He can't hear any sound but the beat of his heart. Natsu, calm down. Amor shouted in his head. This is bad, Igneal. He's draining my power. The dragon shouted. Natsu's eyes became red and his fangs and nails started to grow longer. Do something. Amor shouted at the dragon. The dragon grind his teeth and closed his eyes. At this point I can't do anything. What? Amor cried. If he continues like this, he will go out on a rampage and probably wipe out the city. The white room, Natsu's head, started to turn crimson and Amor started to panic more. Igneal quickly opened his eyes as he remembered something. Amor, did you forget? I didn't pick you as Natsu's. Natsu quickly disintegrated the shadow holding him with ease. The masked man didn't even flinch at what he is seeing. He removed the sword from Mira's chest and threw it at Natsu. Natsu caught the tip of the sword with his teeth and destroyed it with one bite. The masked man slammed his hand on the floor of Shadow Prison. Two huge shadow hands came out of the floor. He clasped his hands together and Natsu is now stuck inside the shadow hand's crush. He closed both his hands and the shadow mimicked it, crushing Natsu. Then Natsu? Mira managed to shout. After seconds of silence, the shadow exploded and crimson flames surrounded Natsu. Mira watched in awe. She looked at her chest expecting a wound, but nothing. She felt getting weak every second. Her vision started to get blurry and she felt like burning. Natsu quickly punched the man in blinding speed, making the masked man flew out of the building and hit the church, which is 120 feet away from the guild. The battle between Gray and the man in the hat stopped. What the hell was that? Gray shouted while looking up the ceiling. TSK, that was a good gunfight, mate, but I guess mission accomplished. The man shot the floor and white smoke appeared. Natsu, Mira muttered before fainting. Inside Natsu's head, Amor stood there pushing with an irritated look on her face. That stupid old hag. She put her hands on her chest and started chanting the spell. Bring him love. Bring him peace. Ease my love. Nightmares cease. Before Natsu can jump out of the guild building and go on a rampage, a pink sphere covered his body. He felt love and comfort, his anger slowly fading away. His blood-red eyes returned back to normal. He looked around at the destruction and saw broken floors and walls. He quickly shook his head. Mira. He quickly ran to her. Mira is sweating and breathing heavily. Natsu remembered the scene where she got stabbed in the chest. He immediately looked for the wound, but nothing. Natsu gulped and blushed. This is important. He thought to himself as he removed Mira's shirt, revealing her white bra. Natsu's eyes widened as he did not see any wound, but a magic circle on her chest. Amor, are you seeing this? Yeah, I can't believe it. It's a dark spell created by a priest to kill the demons who possess the people in his city, but they sealed the spell because it does not only kill the demon inside, but also the human who got possessed. I don't know how he learned that forbidden spell. Natsu quickly picked up Mira bridal style and run towards the forest where Puryusuka's house is at. Is there a cure? Natsu asked as he dodged obstacles in the forest. I don't know, I'm sorry Natsu. Natsu can sense sadness in her voice. Cheer up, will ya? I will find a way to save Mira. Amor smiled with a red tint on her. She's still in Natsu's dream room, that's why I never regretted being your fiancé. One thing Natsu didn't know is that he can't hear her thoughts. Natsu quickly kicked the door open, startling the old woman. What the hell do you think you're doing? Puryusuka shouted. Sorry Puryusuka-san, but Mira needs help. Natsu said while putting her down in the bed. You could at least knock, you disrespectful brat. Natsu bowed at her. Please check Mira, something is wrong with her. Leaving aside her anger, she checked up Mira and saw a dark purple magic circle in her chest. Her eyes widened and looked at Natsu in shock. What happened to her? She got stabbed in the chest with a black sword. Puryusuka grabbed Natsu in his collar. This is bad, this curse. The only way to remove the curse is to chant the counter spell. Where can I learn this spell? Natsu quickly asked. You will learn it from the man who stabbed her, she said with his serious eyes. Are you alright mate? You sure take that wanker's punch hard. The man in hat laughed while his hands are resting on top of his head. That boy, something is telling me that he's a demon. The man in the hat stopped. Are you sure mate? Nah, but I'm sure he's not human. Shall we go back and kill him then? That would be fun. The man in hat smirked. I believe so, a threat is a threat and they must be eliminated. The shadow sword appeared on his hand again. How long does she have? Natsu asked anxiously while Puryusuka is brewing some medicine. About 3 days, I need you to keep this a secret to about the curse I mean. Natsu nodded and started walking back and forth but got stopped by hitting him in the head. Stop moving. Now be useful and get me the blue-haired brat that loves reading books. Puryusuka commanded him and he quickly ran towards the guild. After minutes, Levi arrived the front door with a confused look on Natsu. She opened the door and saw Mira on the bed. She quickly ran to her. What happened? She asked. She got cursed and I need you to try and dispel that magic circle or make her time longer. Levi nervously nodded. I'll do my best. She grabbed her magic pen and started working. Take care of her, I'm off, Natsu said before leaving the house. Where is he going? Levi asked the pink-haired woman. He's finding the man who cursed her. We're back, you bloody wankers. The man in hat shouted while firing off some rounds. The masked man put his hand on the shade of the tree. Shadow eyes. The masked man can see anything and anyone who are in the shadows with his spell activated. He saw Natsu running in the forest, found him. Both of them rolled out and head towards the forest. How can I find him again? Natsu grunted. I can use my sensory spell to track them down. Amor requested. Do it. Amor closed her eyes. 6th sense. Yeah. The man in hat shoot 2 bullets at Natsu. Amor quickly opened her eyes. Natsu. Behind you. Natsu quickly did a backflip, dodging the 2 bullets. The 2 demon hunters stood in a branch above Natsu. We meet again, you by little. The man in hat smirked at him. Natsu glared at both of them. Give me the counter spell for the curse you put on Mira. Or else I'll. Be what mate? He said while cocking his gun. I will beat the living shit out of you too. Natsu shouted, igniting his fists on fire. I like this little man in a hat who said to the masked man, let's end this, shall we? Sticky shot. The man in hat fired 6 bullets at him. Before the bullets hit Natsu, it exploded and sticky rubber covered Natsu. I can't move. Natsu struggled to break free. The man in hat dropped in front of him, expecting to curse him again, but he only heard a giggle. You giggle mate. He pointed the gun at Natsu's head. Well, not for long before he could shoot. Natsu lifted his head. Fire dragon's roar. The man in hat quickly ducked and jumped a few feet away from Natsu. He licked his finger and put out the small fire on his sombrero. Natsu burned the sticky like rubber, freeing himself, dashing forward to hit the man in hat in his stomach. The masked man dropped down from the branch and slammed his hand on the floor. Oh no you don't. Natsu shouted. He took a deep breath in the fire dragon's roar. The masked man quickly ducked, but he wasn't Natsu's target but the trees around them. Amazing, Amor thought to herself. I didn't know you're this smart, Natsu, she said with a giggle. Natsu's eye twitched. Shut up. He shouted out loud. Eliminating the shadows that surrounded us, limiting my advantage. Pretty smart of you, boy. Natsu clenched his fist. What did Mira do to you? She's the kindest person I've ever met in my life. Why did you do this to her? The man in hat wiped away his blood from his mouth. Simple, it's because she's a demon. We are demon hunters, the masked man added. She's not a demon. She's a mage. Again Natsu charged at both of them, but they quickly dodged him by jumping a few feet away from the smoke shop. He shot the bullet in Natsu's feet and with a puff white smoke surround him. Shadow-like hands grabbed his arms and feet. Shadow fist. A huge fist made out of shadows hit his whole body. Show me your true power, Shadow. Make. Spear. He threw the shadow spear at Natsu. The pink sphere surrounded Natsu, destroying the shadows that held him. The spear disintegrated when it come contact with the sphere. What's going on? Natsu asked in disbelief. You're welcome. Natsu smiled. Thanks, you really saved my buddy. Clenched his fists and again charged the masked man first. Shadow grip. The shadowy hands disintegrated when it touched the sphere surrounding Natsu. Natsu, the spell will wear off in 10 seconds. Amor said to him in panic. 10 seconds is all I need. Natsu used an uppercut on the masked man, making him fly upwards. Lightning flame dragon's roar. The poor masked man fell on the ground, not even twitching. Natsu looked at the man in hat and he can tell that he's scared of him. Tell me the spell. Natsu shouted. TSK, I guess I have no choice, remember this well. With an magic verse. I turn around this wicked curse. As these words of mine are spoken. Let this evil spell be broken. KK. Hearing out mate. I thought you and that girl are lovers. The man in hat carried his unconscious buddy till we meet again, dragon. Natsu watched the two disappear in the distance. What's the spell again? Amor mentally face palmed. Granny. We're back. Natsu kicked the door open, startling the brunette and the old lady. I said knock. Purusika bonked him with his broom. She thought. Natsu massaged his head. How is she? She's in the same state. I'm sorry Natsu, but I can't reverse the spell. Levi frowned and sat in a vacant seat. Let me try. Natsu approached Mira and gulped. You remember the spell Amor? Natsu asked. Yeah, just repeat after me. With an magic verse. I turn around this wicked curse. As these words of mine are spoken. Let this evil spell be broken. Natsu stared at Mira's as he slowly reached for a. Levi started blushing and Purusika just sighed and shouted, just get on with it. They're connected and the seal started vanishing. Levi jumped in joy and hug. Mira slowly opened her eyes and saw Natsu still her face started to get red and smacked Natsu in the face. What are you doing? Mira shouted as she sat up, still blushing and her heart still pounding. Mira. Natsu quickly hugged her, ignoring the pain in his making her blush more. Natsu quickly broke the hug and Levi ran towards her, hugged her too. What happened? Mira asked out of curiosity. You were cursed, don't you remember anything? Levi asked. All I remember was that I was in the infirmary resting and I got. Mira quickly looked at her chest and nothing. She sighed in relief and instantly noticed that she's only in her undies and Natsu already hugged and at her. With a scream of embarrassment and pillows thrown at the pink-haired mage, Natsu ended up waiting at the front of Purusika's house. Thank you for helping me, Purusika said. Mira bowed at her. You should be thanking that disrespectful brat out there. Now get out of my house. While walking towards the exit, Mira asked Levi. Did Natsu really saved me? Levi nodded. He got the cure from the guy who stabbed you. Then why did he me? Mira started to blush again and her heart started to beat wildly. It's to complete the spell, I believe, Levi says while opening the door. Mira saw Natsu waiting outside patiently. Natsu turned around and saw Mira running at him. Mira gave Natsu a big hug. He was silenced by Mira's crashing to his. Levi blushed and slowly left the scene. After seconds, Mira broke the I love you Natsu and I'm gonna steal you from Urza. She said with a smile. The bead on Natsu's bracelet turned pink, making it 2 pinks and 8 black ones. 2 down. 8 to go. Amor announced. Her smile quickly turned into frown as she put her hands on her chest. So, this is jealousy, huh? Oh no, Mira. Mira looked at Natsu. Yeah. About that how do I say this? Dragon slayers can have multiple mates, Natsu nervously said. Does Urza know about that? Mira asked. Natsu nodded. Mira hugged him tighter and looked Natsu in the eyes. Do you love Urza? Yeah. Do you love me? Mira asked in a serious tone. Natsu's only answer is on the. After seconds of making out, he broke the dot. Does that satisfy you? Mira smiled and gave him a nod as she rested her head on Natsu's chest. I really don't mind sharing you with Urza. The king knocked at the princess's room. Do you see, it's time for my daughter. After seconds with no reply, the king grew impatient. Open the door, he said to the guard, and they kicked it open only to find an empty room and an open window. While looking at the window inside the carriage, Hisui saw the city of Magnolia. Maybe I can hide here. How are you doing, Granny? The waitress asked her loyal customer. I'm doing fine, thank you. Altier smiled at the waitress and took a sip on her cup of tea. The carriage stopped and dropped Hisui in a clear field. Thank you for agreeing to this, Hisui smiled at the driver. My pleasure, Hisui. Haim. The driver bowed at her and handed her a cloak. It's old and ragged, but for her it's the perfect disguise. Thank you, please keep this a secret. Hisui wear the cloak and it covered her clothes and her jade hair. The driver nodded and went back to the carriage. Hisui checked her pocket money and sighed. 90,000 jewels. I need a place to stay. She looked up and it was already dawn. She headed towards the town to search for an affordable inner hotel and grab some groceries along the way. How much for these 3 apples? Hisui asked the vendor. The vendor gave her a saddened look, she's pity for her because of her appearance. Just 5 jewels little missy, I'll give you the other one for free. Hisui was shocked but happily accepted the offer and paid 5 jewels. Mira. Stop clinging to me in public. Natsu said in a low voice catching the attention of our princess. Natsu Dragneel. She muttered, she turned around and saw Mira who is hugging Natsu's right arm. Mira gave Natsu a cute pout. Why? Are you embarrassed? Tried to look away to hide his blush. Why yeah, I never did this in public, not even with Urza. Mira giggled. I see, so you and Urza haven't done this, huh? Mira tightened her hug on Natsu's arm, making sure that it's right between her breasts. Natsu blushed harder as they walked towards the guild. Hisui just giggled at them. Ah, young love, the woman in the store sighed. How about you, little miss? You got a lover? Hisui didn't look back at no, I don't have a lover. Her tone is a bit depressed. Really? But you have such a cute face. Thank you, Hisui blushed at her reaction. Well, thank you for the apple. Are there any cheap hotels around here? Ah, cheap hotel. There's a cheap one outside the city, it's not really far away from here, I believe it's called the Sleeping Bark. Thank you very much. Hisui bowed and take her leave. I'm heading home, Natsu-kun, thank you for walking with me. Mira gave Natsu a peck on the. Then no prob, good night Mira. After Mira take a left turn while humming happily, he entered the guild with a very angry elfman. Where's my sister? Elfman grabbed Natsu in his scarf and started shaking him. SSH head back home. Natsu managed to choke out. Evergreen punched Elfman in the arm. Stop it. You heard the boy. Elfman dropped Natsu in the floor gently and apologized. Then no problem. So what happened to the 2 bastards who attacked us? Gray said while drinking his iced tea. Natsu recovered from his dizziness and gave Gray a toothy grin. I kicked their asses. Yeah right, Gray giggled and continued ignoring Natsu's rant. Anyways, I'm going home. Natsu sighed and left the building. I never knew Mira as I swear I can't remember how many times we had before she went home. Natsu's sweat dropped. Actually it's 36 times, Amor said. Oh really? Actually she pecked you 48 times and you made out with her 36 times, I think, Amor said in an unsure tone. Right, Natsu's sweat dropped. Have you met anyone before? Natsu asked Amor. Amor rolled her eyes. I've been stuck here for hundreds of years. Natsu, you think I have a chance to make out with anyone? Geez, I'm just asking. Armor was glad because he can't see her right now, physically because her face is completely red. Natsu arrived at his home, he sighed as he looked at his neighbor, a goddamn hotel building. It was built next to Natsu's house outside the city 2 months ago. The rent there is cheap, but 5% of the hotel's earning goes to Natsu because he owns that part of the land. Before entering his house, he smelled something very delicious. Quickly opened the door and saw Urza only wearing an apron and nothing else. Natsu's face turned red. Urza looked back and gave a seductive stare at Natsu. Welcome home, Natsu, do you want to have dinner, bath or me? She said seductively. WW, what are you doing? Urza. Natsu quickly turned around. You don't like what you see? Urza pouted. Then no, I like it. I mean, what are you doing here? And put on some clothes. Happy to see you. Natsu shouted while still blushing. I brought some ingredients so I can cook you some delicious food, she said with a smile. She removed her apron and put on a white panties and a long blue t-shirt that reached her legs. Urza embraced Natsu from the back. So how did it go with Mira? Natsu turned around. It's a long story, Natsu sighed. Hisui arrived at the front of the hotel. It does look cheap. The hotel is only 2 floors and it looked very, very old. Entered the hotel and every step there's a creaking sound on the floor. Good evening ma'am, would you like to stay for the night? The cashier asked the hooded girl. Yes please, how much will it cost me for 3 days? Hisui asked. For 3 days is 2,000 jewels and you will get 1 free breakfast tomorrow, the cashier happily said. 1 room please, and for 3 days, the cashier handed her the room key. Thank you for staying here, have a good night, the cashier happily bowed at her. Thank you too. Please find my daughter, bring her back. The king of Fiori Neal at the bounty hunter. And what's the price? The guy said while sharpening his dagger. I'll give you anything. Please just bring her back. The king cried. How about 3 billion jewels, that's the lowest I can go. I will transfer it once you bring back my daughter. With pleasure. Before he could live, the king spoke. Please don't hurt her. The bounty hunter stopped and looked back. I'll try not to, he smirked, and he turned into a flock of crows. Back at Natsu's house, Natsu was sleeping on his bed and Urza on his side, topless, again. Inside Natsu's head. Amor telepathically communicated with Igneal. When are you gonna tell him? Amor asked the dragon. Tell him about what? Igneal grunted. About you, staying on his body again. Amor rolled her eyes. What? He can live without me, he's a grown man. So why did you fake your death? The boy needed it, his power is centered on his emotions, without my death he will never defeat that guy. And you know you scarred him for life, right? Amor was very concerned towards Natsu. Igneel smirked, what's this? You got forced into marriage and you were so mad because you didn't want to marry a guy you don't know and now you're falling for him. Amor quickly blushed, shut up you old lizard. Igneel giggled, girl, protect my son and don't be jealous, you know it's for your own good. Whatever. And why would I be jealous? You're not jealous when you see your fiancé smooching with that white-haired girl? Or physically teasing him with your breasts? Or cut? Shut up. Amor cried. Well you can him too, well not physically, but you can him, Igneel told her with a soft giggle. Enough. Thanks for your time father-in-law. Amor I twitched and cut her communication with Igneel. Amor sighed, I want to, but it's not the same I want to him when I become human again. She watched Natsu's dream in one of her mirror-like screens. It was the death of his father, killed by. Amor frowned, should I tell him? Natsu woke up from his nightmare, he was breathing heavily, and he's sweating. Natsu looked around and saw Urza sleeping next to him peacefully. He pulled the sheet higher to cover Urza and smiled at her. She's really beautiful when she's sleeping, Natsu thought, making someone in her head jealous. I'd love her. Boy, go back to sleep, it's still 3 in the morning. Oh? Amor? You're still awake? Natsu asked, then yawned. I can't sleep, didn't we have this discussion already? Amor asked, her face is very annoyed. Why are you so mad today? Lied down and crossed his arms. Mad? I'm not mad. Well if you say so, good night Amor. HMPH. Caw. The crow flew around the city of Magnolia. The bounty hunter smirked, where are you? Next day, or pretty much 4 hours later. Natsu was awoken by a delicious smell coming from the kitchen. He got up in bed and saw Urza reading a newspaper. Morning. Natsu stretched his arms and made his way towards the table. Morning Natsu. Urza happily greeted him. I made you some bacon and eggs. Looks delicious. Thank Urza. Natsu sat down and started eating. Whoa. This tastes delicious Urza. Natsu continued eating. You'll make a good wife. Urza started to blush. That's why I'm practicing how to cook and do some household chores, she said proudly. Why? Natsu asked. So I'll be ready to take care of our child and take care of you when you get home from a job after we marry. BFFT. Natsu spat out his food. Boy, he didn't see that one coming. Natsu? Are you okay? Urza handed her a glass of water. Natsu quickly drank the water. Why yeah, thanks for the food. Natsu stood up and headed towards the bathroom. I'll be heading back to the guild, see you later. Ding dong. Hisui opened the door and let the waiter in. The waiter dropped the tray and left the room. Hisui smiled at her free breakfast. It's not very luxurious like the one they served her in the castle, but this one is fine for her. Eating something that's not luxurious is one of her dreams. Her breakfast is just 2 eggs, a toast and a cup of coffee. After eating her breakfast, she took a bath, got dressed, wear her cloak and left the hotel to do some shopping. While walking at the forest, she saw some crow flying around and it looked like the crow was interested in her, but she paid no mind and continued her way into town. She went to buy some fruits on the vendor she bought apples from yesterday. The woman smiled at her and greeted her good morning, and she greeted her back. After having some discount on the apples, she bought 6 apples and 4 oranges. While walking to the next store, she accidentally bumped into someone, she fell on the ground and her fruit started roll over the place. Oh sorry, I wasn't really paying attention. Natsu offered his hand to the cloaked girl. She happily accepted his hand as he helped her stand up and picked up her fruits. Thank you. No problem. Natsu gave her his signature grin. This girl is pretty normal, Amor thought. Beep beep beep. The beeping sound came from Natsu's bracelet. That's new. Natsu's sweat dropped. You like it? Amor giggled. Before she could leave, Natsu asked a question. Why are you wearing a hood? Natsu asked suspiciously. Please I need to go. Hisui quickly ran to an alley, but Natsu caught up to her and accidentally pulled her hood, revealing her jade hair and cute face. DPP Princess. Natsu's eyes widened as he saw her face. Natsu's house. Oh so you're the one living here next to the hotel I'm staying at, Hisui said while sitting on the couch. Why are you here, princess? The king might be worried sick looking for you, Natsu asked while riding in the opposite direction. Please just call me Hisui. Well, I ran away from home, Natsu-sama, because Hisui frowned and decided not to continue. Why are you picking weird girls? Natsu complained. I didn't know she's royalty. Amor shouted. Natsu just sighed. Because my father is forcing me to marry a guy I don't know. Hisui started crying and Natsu felt bad for her. That's not right at all. You should be marrying a guy you like. Not just any random guy. Natsu shouted. Alright. Amor sighed as she and Hisui had shared the same faith, but she didn't regret it. Besides, Natsu didn't know that he already got a fiancé. Yeah, that's why I ran away. Hisui wiped her tears and tried to regain her composure. So what now? Are you gonna stay here at Magnolia? Natsu asked. Well, I will not stay for long, I just need to find my true love and break my arranged marriage with someone I don't know. So you're here to find someone you really love? Hisui blushed and quickly nodded. Well, good luck, princess. Natsu said with a grin, then his bracelet started to shock him with electricity. Baka. Now's your chance. Amor shouted. Natsu-sama. Are you okay? Hisui asked a burnt and twitching Natsu. Why yeah, Natsu crossed his feet and stared at Hisui. How about we go on a date? Hisui blushed instantly. Really? Sure. Natsu gave Hisui a signature grin. Hey, Amor, what's a date? Ugh. You're hopeless without me, you know that, right? A date is where you two have fun together, take her someplace to eat, get to know each other. Thanks, Amor. So where do you want to go? Natsu asked Hisui. How about a walk in the park? She suggested. Let's go then. Natsu stood up but got stopped by I can't reveal my identity, Natsu-sama. Oh, use magic to change your hair color, then Natsu suggested. But Natsu-sama, I don't use magic, she bit her lower lip. Natsu thought of something and grabbed a small stone underneath the sofa. Here, a hair dye, it's actually Lucy's, but she left it here, so it's mine now, Natsu said with a grin. Hisui smiled at him and colored her hair to color purple. How do I look? Hisui asked with a small tint of red on her. I like your green hair better, but you look cute in that too. Hisui quickly blushed and faced the other way, so Natsu can't see her. Thank you, Natsu-sama. The two walked out of the house together, still maintaining distance to each other. Natsu got a feeling that someone was watching them. He stopped and looked around, then sniffed the air. Natsu-sama. Is there a problem? Hisui asked. It's nothing, let's get going. They resumed walking. A crow flew to the top of the hotel roof from a branch next to Natsu's house. The bounty hunter was looking at a missing poster of Hisui. The crow landed on his shoulder and he started stroking its head. Natsu Dragneel, the mighty salamander. I heard a lot of stories from you. He stabbed the picture of Hisui. This hunt will be interesting. I'll definitely hang his head on my trophy hall. Black wings sprang out from his back and quickly flew away, leaving black feathers behind. The two are walking in a park. Hisui is eating an ice cream, while Natsu is resting his arms on his head. What's it like in the castle? Natsu asked. Well, it's really boring, you just sit there and order people around, Hisui sighed. That is boring. Well, except for the part ordering people around, Hisui giggled at Natsu. How about you take me to a place where you always hang out? Hisui asked Natsu with a cute smile. A place where I always hang out? Natsu and Lisana's hut. Well, this is the place where I always hang out. Natsu pointed his finger to a small hut in a clear field. This is a beautiful house, Natsu-sama. They approached the house and a white bird flew out inside the house. Natsu's eyes widened as he smelled the scent of the bird. Lisana. The scent quickly vanished as the bird was gone in sight. Natsu-sama. Whose grave is this? Hisui looked at Lisana's tombstone. Oh, that's Lisana's tombstone. Oh, how did she die? She's not dead, she's alive. Hisui looked at Natsu in shock. Then why is there a tombstone of her here? Well, we thought she died 9 years ago, but a lot of stuff happened and we find out that she's still alive and in another world called Idolas, Natsu explained. The Idolas? But that was just a myth. Hisui was shocked to hear about Idolas. Her mother used to tell her stories about Idolas when she was little. It's real, we got sucked into Idolas. Well, they got sucked into, and we rescued them. Can you tell me more about Natsu-sama? Hisui was interested on hearing Natsu's adventure. What they don't know is that someone in the shadows are watching them, waiting for a perfect opportunity to attack them. Lisana. Mira knocked at Lisana's door, but she heard no answer. Are you okay, Lisana? You haven't gone to the guild for days now. Mira was very worried about her sister. The door opened and Lisana came out with a smile on her face. I just don't feel like going in the guild, Mira. Sorry if you're worrying too much. Mira frowned, she knew her sister was just wearing that fake smile. Lisana, what's really happening? What are you talking about, Mira? Lisana's smile never left her face. Lisana, she put her hands on Lisana's shoulders. Tell me what's wrong. A tear rolled down on Lisana's dot. She quickly pushed Mira away and slammed the door. I'm sorry, Mira, please, I just want to be alone for now. She rested her back on the door and hugged her knees and started crying. Why, Natsu? I love you so much it hurts, Lisana whispered to herself. After listening to Natsu's story about Idolas, Hisui was shocked to hear about Lisana. So why are you dating me instead of Lisana? Hisui asked. Natsu gulped. Will I get nervous when she's around, he said while scratching his head. Natsu-sama, are you a playboy? Hisui asked while pouting. What? I'm not a playboy. Natsu shouted. Then why are you dating me instead of the girl you love? Natsu quickly blushed because of the word love. Well you see, a dragon slayer can have multiple mates, explained nervously. Why you're creating your own harem? Hisui covered herself as she imagined tons of girls surround Natsu. I'm sorry Natsu-sama, but I'm not joining your harem. She stood up and dusted her skirt. Please excuse me Natsu-sama, but I must return back to the hotel. Hisui started to walk away, and I thought he's the perfect guy for me, she thought to herself, disappointed. Natsu just sighed. I guess mission failed. No, get your ass up and go get her. But she said she don't want to join the harem thingy or whatsoever. The Moor sighed and controlled his body. Hisui. Natsu shouted. Hisui looked back and Natsu quickly at her and that she didn't struggle, but accepted that she don't know why, but Natsu's felt so good. Natsu broke the eye and looked her straight in the eyes. I love you Hisui, I want to see your beautiful hair every day. I wake up. Hisui's face is very red, making a tomato jealous. Then Natsu-sama. Hisui then passed out, but Natsu caught her before falling to the ground. The Moor let Natsu control his body again. What happened? Natsu looked at his arm and saw a sleeping Hisui. She's been shot with a tranquilizer. A Moor warned her. Behind you Natsu. Natsu carried Hisui bridal style and quickly docked. 5 daggers hit a tree in front of him. He quickly jumped and turned to their attacker. A man with black hair, slightly longer than Natsu, black armor, raven sword and a black wings on his back. My name is Malphas, fallen angel, bounty hunter, and I'm going to take Miss Girly there and hang your head on my wall. I'm Natsu Dragneel and I'm going to kick your ass. Natsu dropped Hisui gently on the ground. Fire Dragon's iron fist. Natsu burning fist went through Malphas' body as he turned into a flock of crows. Dancing blades. The crow's wings turned into sharp daggers and started to fly around Natsu, cutting his skin and clothes. Fire Dragon's roar. Some of the crows burned and those who survived flew in a circle and turned into Malphas. Who sent you here? Natsu asked Malphas, who gave him a smirk. I really never reveal my clients now, let's make this. His wing was suddenly cut off by Urza behind his back. Ayarg. Malphas dropped to his knees and grind his teeth. Who are you? Urza pointed her sword at Malphas' neck. Urza, what are you doing here? Urza smiled at him. I got worried when I never saw you in the guild earlier, so I went looking for you. Titania. Malphas started laughing as turned into a flock of crows and flew away from their location. Are you alright Natsu? Urza asked anxiously. She was worried about Natsu's cuts all over his body. I'm fine, it will heal. Who's that girl Natsu? Urza looked at Hisui, who's sleeping on the ground. Oh, that's Princess Hisui. Oh really, what is she doing here? And why are you with her? And why's her hair purple? Well, she ran away from home because she got forced into marriage. I bumped her earlier today and I took her to my house and she started explaining. She said that she wanted to find a date, so I asked if she would like to go on a date with me. Then after a walk in the park we went here and that guy came and you came and that's it. Natsu backed away after explaining his red aura surrounds Urza. Why you went on a date with her? She said coldly, you took someone on a date before me. Natsu gulped. I love you, please forgive me. Smack. In a cave somewhere. Malphas sat in the corner of the cave, insanely smiling, his eyes wide open, and blood kept flowing from his sliced wing. Titania Salamander. Titania. He laughed like a maniac and licked his dagger. This will be my greatest hunt Eve. After the encounter, Natsu carried the sleeping princess's bridal style. Hisui snuggled closer to his chest, making Natsu blush at her action. Urza, meanwhile, is still ignoring Natsu and of course he notices that. He had never seen Urza like this before. After minutes of silence while walking, Natsu decided to break the silence. The Urza? Urza was calm and clearly trying to avoid eye contact with him. With a sigh she responded back. What? Urza said with an annoyed tone. Natsu moved closer to her. Since she's not looking, she didn't see Natsu leaning and giving her a peck in the making her blush. I'll make it up to you Urza, can you forgive me? Urza's jealousy quickly melted and looked at Natsu. She sighed again in defeat. She really can't stand being mad at him for a day. Fine, but on one condition. Natsu stopped walking as Urza leaned closer to his ear. Make love to me, she whispered seductively. A tick mark on Natsu's bracelet can be seen. He quickly blushed and noticed a blood coming out from his nose. He quickly wiped it from his face and faced the other way. What are you thinking Urza? Urza just giggled at him. I'm just kidding Natsu, I can never stay mad at you. Now she forced Natsu to turn around and at him passionately. Natsu started to back while trying not to wake up a princess on his arms. After about 10 seconds they broke and started walking again. Meanwhile in the forest outside Magnolia, a ripple in the air started to form and slowly turned into a green portal. 2 girls came out of the portal. The first girl has short white hair, dark royal blue eyes. She is about 11 years old. She is wearing a light blue jacket and underneath it is a pink shirt, purple skirt and a 6-foot-long scythe on her back. The other one is shorter. She has long pink hair, done in pigtail rosewood eyes and is about 9 years old. She is wearing a pink dress that reached her knees with a pink heart pin on her chest. She is holding a red stuffed toy dragon and started snuggling it. "We're here, Pokey. I can't believe it," she said to the stuffed toy with an excited squeal. "Keep your voice down, Amy, you might attract a predator or a forest vulcan. This part of the jungle is infested with green-haired monkeys," the white-haired girl deadpanned. "You're no fun, Sanatani," Amy cutely pouted. "Right, Pokey." She used her hand to nod the toy's head. "See, Sanatani. Pokey agrees with me." Sanada sighed and started walking. "We must find shelter and proceed to do our objective." Before Amy can catch up to her, a giant green ape came down from the trees. "Young girls. Come with me. We will have a lot of fun." The ape tried to convince both the girls, but they ignored him and started walking towards the town. The Vulcan jumped again in front of them. "Don't ignore me, you stupid brats." The loud shout made Amy stick her pinky in her ears. "Ah. My ears." She playfully whined. Before Sanada can draw her side, Amy stopped her. "Ni-chan, let Pokey play with him, it has been a while now." She can't help but smile at Amy. "Alright, just make sure Pokey don't make any more trouble or I'll wash him harder next time I do laundry." Sanada smiled and pat Amy on the head. Amy giggled and ate the stuffed toy dragon's head. "You hear that, Pokey? Don't make Sanada mad." The Vulcan started laughing and pointed his finger at the stuffed toy. "You think that toy can stop me, little girl?" Amy pouted at the Vulcan. "Hey, don't underestimate Pokey. Go scare him, Pokey." She tossed the stuffed toy in the air and the toy quickly engulfed by flame. Before it hits the ground, it turns into a full-size dragon. Its skin is still made out of red cloth and with huge stitches on its chest and stomach, jet black horns, sharp teeth, razor-sharp claws, flaming red eyes and steaming mouth. Pokey let out a roar that can make a whole town shit their pants. The Vulcan retreated to the deeper part of the forest as Pokey returned back to normal. Amy picked up the toy from the ground. With a smirk on Amy's face, she started to hug the stuffed toy. "See that, you stink ape. My Pokey is strong." She then felt a drop in the temperature. She slowly turned around and saw Sanada glaring at them. Amy quickly started sweating bullets. I swear, Ni-chan, it's all Pokey's idea." Sanada just sighed and proceeded walking. Both mages stopped walking as they heard a roar. What was that?" Urza asked Natsu, who is still shocked. For the first time since after the final battle between and he heard once again a roar of a dragon. "That was a dragon," Natsu said with wide eyes. "Amor, did you hear that?" "Yeah, that was definitely a dragon." "What is it doing here at Magnolia? Is it lost? Are we under attack?" Natsu quickly panicked and Urza started to get worried at him. He was not responding to her calls. "Natsu?" Urza finally caught his attention. "Let's head back to our house so we can rest. Maybe it's just an unknown creature in the forest." Urza sighed. "It's definitely a dragon, Urza." Wait, what do you mean our house?" Urza gave Natsu a sweet smile. "I moved my stuff earlier. Don't worry about my armor, they are still in the fairy hills. From now on, we are living together," Urza happily announced. "You're not taking no for an answer, huh?" Natsu's sweat dropped. Natsu sighed. Amy held an action figure of Natsu and was a little happy on his side. "Look, Ni-chan. Towson. Enough fooling around, Amy, we must not waste any more time." Amy pouted again and put the action figure back on the shelf. "You're always no fun, Ni-chan." Sanada sighed. "We're not on a vacation, Amy, we're here on a job, a mission. A very important one too." Amy didn't bother to argue and just sighed. "Fine, you win." Sanada patted her head. "After this mission, I'll treat you some ice cream." Amy looked up at her sister with a toothy grin. "Thanks, Ni-chan." Strauss residence. A short white-haired mage is still crying in her bed. Why can Natsu do this to her? She have loved him like nobody else before. Lysanda can't take it anymore. To see Natsu in her sister's hand is just too painful. She grabbed her backpack and started putting on some undergarments and clothes. Lysanda pulled something beneath her bed and in the box it says, "For my future house with Natsu." She quickly ripped away the note and opened the box filled with cash. That dream is already gone. Tears didn't stop flowing from her eyes. She made a note and placed it underneath a group picture of her Natsu and Happy. She jumped out of her window and quickly transformed into a giant bunny. "Bye forever." Isui slowly opens her eyes and stared at an unfamiliar ceiling. She tried to recall what happened earlier, a hunter, red-haired girl, and she slowly touched her and quickly blushed. She quickly sat up and saw a sleeping salmon-haired mage in the sofa. She slowly stood up, trying not to wake up Natsu, and made her way towards the table, where there was a basket of food and a note. She read the note, and the food was for both of them, and was given by saying that she will be gone for a S-class mission, and an apology to Natsu for not informing him, because she didn't want to wake him up. Her stomach roared, making her blush. She took a sandwich inside the basket and started eating it. "Is he the one for me?" He has saved me multiple times already but I need to know him better. I can't just marry someone alright, Hisui mentally sighed. Handsome? Check. Funny? Check. Charming? Check. Will it protect me from any harm? Check. A gooder. Hisui unconsciously touched her again. That was her first, and her first was so passionate, she expected her first to be just a peck, but no. CC check. The bead on Natsu's bracelet turned pink, making a more smile. 7 more till freedom. I made up my mind. She stood up from her seat and heard a thud. Natsu quickly got into a fighting stance only to see Hisui in a white nightgown with a messy bed hair with a sandwich on her hand. Hisui, however, started to giggle at his action. His hair was messy and he still got a drool on the left side of his mouth. Natsu sighed and relaxed. Would you scream? Hisui smiled at him because Natsu-sama, I made up my mind. Make up your mind. The two girls came out of the inn that they slept in last night. So what's the plan? Amy asked her sister. Track the hunter, get some of his blood, return back to our time, Sanada deadpanned. Hey. You missed the part where I kicked his butt. Amy smirked and proceeded finding any sign of the hunter with his sister around the town. While walking through the streets, Sanada froze when she saw a crying woman with long white hair running towards them. Amy stopped and looked at her sister. Are you okay? The white-haired woman passed through them and Sanada snapped out of her thoughts. The pink-haired girl looked back at the crying woman and saw her heading towards the exit of the city. Ain't that Kasan? Amy looked at her sister with a worried face, she can see the sadness in her eyes. She really loved her parents and will do anything for them. She quickly looked at her little sister, changing plans. We help mom and dad track the hunter, get his blood, and go back in our time. But you said don't compromise our identities. I didn't say we reveal our real identities, come on, no more questions, let's follow mom. She quickly ran towards the direction where Mira had run off to. Amy smiled in glee. I love going missions with Sanada Ni. Not like with Simon Nai and Icarus Nai, they're always strict in jobs, no fun. No fun with them at all. I decided that Hisui was cut off by Mira, who busted the door open and tackled Natsu on the ground. Mira? What happened? Are you alright? Natsu asked while brushing her hair out of face. Lisana. Shess is gone. Mira hugged him tighter as she sobbed on his shirt. What happened to her? SS she left last night. I read her end note, as she says that he can't handle the pain anymore. I don't know what she meant by that. Mira cried harder. Before Natsu could ask again, they heard a knock on the door. Well, really, the door is already busted. He saw 2 young girls standing there. Hisui grabbed Mira away from Natsu. Go, I'll try and calm her. Natsu nodded and went towards the entrance of his house. I don't want any of your cookies. Now get lost. Natsu shouted at both girls. He wasn't thinking straight. The woman of her dreams, the love of his life, ran away. All he thought about was finding her and getting her back. His train of thoughts was broken by a little girl who started crying. Mimi. Amy cried while hugging her toy. Way to go, Mimi. Amor started snickering. Sanada didn't lose her composure. Excuse me, but we saw her crying earlier when we were walking down the street in the city. We felt bad for her and follow her and try our best to help her. Ow. Why do you want to help a woman you have never met before in your life? Natsu asked, getting suspicious. Sanada didn't panic and tried her best to look sad in front of him. She looked like my mother. Boy. Natsu baka. Stop harassing these kids. They are so cute. Natsu finally calmed down and sighed. Come inside. No. You're a meanie. Amy cried. Sanada just sighed before she dragged her inside. Natsu ruffled Amy's hair. I'm sorry, I just got carried away, Natsu said with a sad smile. Amy looked up and stopped crying. His father always do that when she's crying, or when she's sad, his father will always say to her. Let me see you smile, Natsu said while staring at her rosewood eyes. Amy wiped her tears and gave Natsu his signature grin. Natsu, I feel a connection to her, I'm not sure. Let's get inside, Natsu offered, and both girls walked inside his house. What do you mean by connection? Natsu asked. Like she has my blood in her. You have a sister? No, idiot. It's like a mother-daughter thing. And the doll she's holding, I felt its magic when you made her cry. Wait. You said you didn't know anyone before, so why do you have a daughter? Amor electrocuted him via bracelet. Both girls looked back and saw Natsu twitching on the ground. Hisui approached both girls and gave them a smile. Just let him be himself, he'll be alright. Mommy, both girls shouted in their minds. She looks beautiful, but she looks like a goddess in our time. Amy happily thought. What the hell? Natsu complained. Can you use your brain for once? So she's related to you in some way? No, us. Us? She related to both of us. I can sense yours and mine. The bracelet instantly blushed. Then never mind, crossed that thought. Amor started panicking. I don't get it. Somewhere in Fiori. How much is this bread? A white-haired girl asked a vendor. Ah. For you darling it's only 10 jewels apiece, the woman smiled at her. Lysana smiled back. I'll take 4 please. Before she can pay, the world around her stopped. The dragon's tiger seems lost. A mysterious yet very familiar voice was heard by Lysana. She turned around and dropped the money on the floor. Her eyes widened when she saw the man standing in front of her with a sad smile. Why you're dead. I wish I were. So what are your names? Hisui asked the 2 children in front of her. My name is Amy. Sanada quickly nudges her arm. Con, please take care of me. She grinned nervously. Hisui tilted her head. Draken. Strange last name. Sanada's sweat dropped at her sister's made-up last name. My name is Sanada Draken, please take care of me as well. Sanada bowed her head as a sign of respect, knowing her mommy Hisui is still the current queen in her time. I'm Hisui Fiori. Nice to meet you both. She smiled at both girls. Natsu entered his house and saw 3 girls in his kitchen drinking tea. Hisui looked over the entrance and smiled. You sent a letter too. Natsu nodded. How's Mira? He asked anxiously. She's sleeping on our bed, she said casually while taking a sip of her tea. Oh so our bed. Hi. Hisui looked at the 2 girls and smiled. That man over there is Natsu Dagnil, future King Fiori. Hisui happily announced. What? Natsu shouted in shock. At a tavern somewhere in a jungle near Crocus, a murder of crows started flying in circles revealing Malphas and his injured wing. He went to the tavern and kicked the door open, revealing a room full of bounty hunters. A teen with red hair started laughing at Malphas. What happened to you? Are you alright? He started snickering. Do not pity me, fool, my wing got injured by the legendary Titania, he said with a venom on his voice. The noise in the tavern stopped as they heard the name Titania, and I almost killed the legendary salamander, he boasted. Are you here to boast or what? The red-haired bounty hunter stood from his seat. Actually I have an offer you can't refuse. What do you mean, future king? Natsu asked nervously. Well, like I said, I made up my mind that you shall be my fiancé. Hisui quickly pouted. Or you don't want to be my. Then no, I would love to. Natsu grinned while scratching the back of his head. Amy was smirking inside, she would like to tease her father and one of her mothers. So are you 2 going to smooch now? She asked innocently while tilting her head, making Hisui and Natsu blush. What are you saying, Amy-chan? Natsu said nervously, suddenly pulled him and they met. His body stiffened for a bit in shock, but quickly relaxed and edged her back. Sanada looked away blushing, and Amy is making an EU face. Hisui broke the and smiled at Natsu. I love you. I love you too. Natsu quickly frowned. Don't worry, I'll help you find her, Hisui said with a sad smile. Thanks. Sanada and Amy stood up from their seats, alerting Hisui and Natsu. Sanada drew her side, and Amy hugged Poki harder. Someone is coming. Sanada sniffed the air, and so did her sister. Amy made a cute growl. Please look after what Natsu said. She nodded and ran over to her. 3 of them stood there, waiting for the threat to come walk right through his door. What do you mean? Natsu and End is one. Lysana was shocked after hearing those words from Dot. He is a demon. He's my first and my most powerful creation. He then pointed his finger towards the book that Lysana is holding. And that book unlocks his demon form. Lysana was silent for a moment. Is he really a demon? Or Zareth is just bluffing? If he is, what is his goal? Her train of thought was broken by an unfamiliar voice. Ah, the mighty Zareth. The cloaked man bowed mockingly. I believe you are interfering with my game. And who you might be, dragon? Lysana's eyes widened when she heard say dragon. How can a dragon be human? The cloaked man smirked and snapped his fingers, making Lysana fell unconscious on the ground. My name does not matter, but I must tell you that you are interfering my little game for Natsu. And what game is he playing? Zareth raised a brow. He cannot wait any longer anymore. He wants his peace back. He must conquer the hearts of 10 women, and if he does not finish it in time, he will die. Your game does not concern me, but I need my peace back immediately. His eyes turned red while glaring at the cloaked man. Easy there, almighty, no one knows you're alive, yet. You can hide again in that little blondie's island. And what shall you do to the girl? Zareth looked at Lysana on the ground. Another obstacle for our dragon slayer. Natsu's eyes widened when he saw the cloaked man walking inside the house, the same man that cursed him. He gritted his teeth and charged him without thinking. His body quickly covered in obsidian rock like a cocoon, making him fall on the ground comically and hit his head. Easy there, Dragneel, I'm just here to bring good news. That is all. He took something out of his pocket, and it was a glass sphere. I found your little tigress of yours. The glass orb showed Lysana sleeping peacefully in a bed. Natsu gritted his teeth and tried to break free out of his obsidian cocoon. Bring her back. Natsu shouted. The cloaked man smirked. I will, but what's the fun in that? His eyes looked around the room and saw 2 girls. The small one got an extremely familiar scent. Ah, visitors. What might you need here? He said with an amused tone in his voice. Leave them out of this. Natsu shouted, they just want to help find her. Really now? The man put the glass sphere back in his pocket. Now, as for the game, I shall be extending your time limit because of an unnecessary interruption by someone. He spat the last part like a venom. What do you want? Hisui said while sitting beside a sleeping mirror. What time? Is there anything that Natsu wasn't telling me? Oopsie, he snapped his fingers and Hisui fell unconscious on the bed and so are the two girls behind Natsu. What did you do to them? Calm down, Dragneel. Now as I was saying, I will be extending your time by a month and for your tigress, I will give her back to you unharmed. You better will. Because if you don't, I will tear you to shreds. Natsu shouted, making the cloaked man giggle. I have no interest in torturing humans. Now let me finish. I shall give your tigress back if you conquered 3 girls' heart and win my special minigame. Natsu's eye twitched, he does not like this man playing with his life, or rather his love life. What special game? He muttered in anger, knowing he can't do anything. The cloaked man started vanishing slowly. It's a surprise. Hours later, the girls woke up, not remembering any events that has happened. Natsu was asleep on the couch again, tired from the event that had happened earlier. Hisui went back on the kitchen to make a new batch of tea for Mira, and the two girls introduced themselves to her in the dining table. Hi. My name is Amy Draken, and this is my sister Sanada Draken. Pleasure to meet you. Mo. Before she can finish, Sanada interrupted her. Mira-san, please take care of us. She bowed slightly, showing respect to her mother. Mira gave them a sad smile. Natsu must have introduced me to you. Now why did you come here? Do you need something? She asked out of curiosity. We saw you crying earlier today, and we decided to help you, whatever the problem that you have, Sanada said, while trying not to look directly in her eyes. Her mother can see through their eyes if they are lying, based on her experience. Thank you for your help, but Mira frowned again. I don't think you can help. Of course we can. Amy shouted happily, I'm a dragon. Sanada quickly paled. Why did her sister keep spilling out their information? Mira smiled and giggled at the girl. Of course you are, sweetie. She pat her head, making Amy growl in annoyance. But it's the truth. Sanada butted in again. Please forgive my sister. She bowed again as she's a big fan of dragons. Amy's annoyance faded and tried to control her giggle. Her mostly sometimes emotionless sister just stuttered. Tea is ready. Hisui set 4 teacups down the table. Mira-sama, it's nice to see you again. Hisui smiled at her. Princess Hisui, it's nice to see you too. What brings you here in Magnolia? Well, Hisui blushed a little bit. I was looking for a fiancé so that I can break an arranged marriage set by my father. Oh really? Mira let out a girlish squeal. Who's the lucky guy? Oh, it's Natsu. We had a date and he saved me from someone who tried to kidnap me. She then took a sip from the tea she made. After seconds of silence, Hisui looked at Mira, who is still smiling at her. Mira-sama, are you alright? Hisui asked, slightly worried. I wasn't informed about this. The sweet smile never left her face. Sanada and Amy started sinking down in their seat. Hell, they know what's coming. Oh, are you one of Natsu's girlfriends? Yes, I am. Princess, why won't you show Amy-chan and Sanada-chan around the guild? I'll take care of Natsu. Mira got up from her seat and pulled the 3 girls out of the house. See you guys later. Say hi to Elfman, my brother, for me. Hisui blinked in shock. She still got a teacup on her hand. What was that all about? We better do what she says. Amy stuttered. Right, Sanada. Amy looked at her sister, but she was already on her way towards the guild. Natsu's dreamscape. Look at the bright side, Natsu, you know where she is and you know she is safe. Amor tried to calm him. How can you trust that guy? He might do something to her. Amor sighed. Maybe he's telling the truth, maybe he just want to continue your game with more challenge. Natsu raised a brow at her. Why are you defending him? I'm not defending him, Natsu, at least you know where she is and not go on a long trip searching for her. She shouted. Natsu quickly realized that he let his anger take over. He took a deep breath and exhaled. Look, Amor, I'm sorry, I'm just worried. I can't trust him. HMPH. What choice do you have? She turned around, trying to ignore him. She was not really mad at Natsu, just really annoyed. She tried to tell him that everything is fine, all day. Natsu smiled and got an idea. When a girl is mad, all you need to do is give them a hug, right? It always worked for Urza. He slowly walked up to her and wrapped his hands around her waist and rested his chin on her shoulder. I'm really sorry, Amor. Amor didn't want to turn around and face him this time. Her face is literally red and his warm breath hitting her neck was not helping. Fine. Why you are forgiven. Natsu noticed her stiffened and giggled at her action. Have you ever hugged someone before? Ibaka. Dragons don't hug. We just tap snouts. She can feel herself trembling. It's not like she didn't like it. She loved it, his fiancé, even though he didn't know it. yet is hugging her. Natsu slowly broke the hug. Sorry, I'll never do it again if you find it uncomfortable. The Moor quickly turned around and faced him, ignoring her really red face. Dong, she looked at the floor. You liked it. It's just my first time, so please do it more often. Natsu smiled and hugged her again, catching her in surprise. She stiffened again, but slowly melted and returned the hug. Better. Natsu broke the hug and smiled at her, earning a bonk on the head. Warn me next time you hug me. Natsu was quickly pulled out of his dream escape and back to reality. He saw Mira sitting on his lap with a sadistic smile. Morning Natsu kun. Natsu instantly blushed and tried to get up, but only got pushed back down with a finger by Mira. Are there things that I need to know? She started tapping her chin, trying to think. Natsu gulped. Well, me and Hisui went on a date. She leaned closer towards Natsu's face. Natsu sighed. I found where Lysanda. Mira's eyes widened at this. Really where? Natsu thought about this with a more earlier and made a decent lie as she's staying with a friend of mine. Don't worry, she said that she will be returning when she finally calmed down. Mira sighed in relief. Thank goodness. Where does your friend live? I want to talk with my sister personally. Why yeah, about that. She said that she already moved from a different city and Lysanda requested not to give her address to us. Mira frowned at that. She shook her head and smiled at Natsu. Thank you. She leaned closer again and gave Natsu on the. She broke with teary eyes. Please talk with Lysanda when she gets back. Natsu sat up and hugged her as she cried again in his chest as she left. Because she loved you, Natsu. She's hurt because I love you too. And I love you too, Urza, Lysanda and Hisui. I love all of you. He then initiated it, this time their tongue fought for dominance. Oh Natsu, I forgot to tell you. Hisui watched Ahmed passionately in a very lewd position. Mira broke the and gave her a seductive smile. Wanna join? Hisui instantly blushed. Sorry I interrupted you. You didn't interrupt us, Mira assured her. So what were you gonna ask, Natsu? Hisui bit her. It was easy telling him on her mind. I was gonna introduce my fiancé to my father. Oh, I'm sure Natsu would love that, right? Natsu nodded and grinned. Yeah, I guess I'll return the crown back. Hisui sweat dropped. So you're the one who stole his crown. Natsu started laughing while scratching the back of his head. Well, it was a really cool souvenir. When do you guys leave? Mira asked while removing herself from Natsu's lap. I would like to leave now so we can arrive early morning tomorrow. Alright. Mira walked over to remember. I'll be the one to take his virginity, she whispered, so Natsu can't hear her. Hisui just blushed and nodded. You wanna come to Mira? Natsu asked. Mira shook her head. She walked up to him again and pecked him in the. I'll wait for Urza. She might be returning early because of the message you sent. Thanks for watching this video. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe and comment down below and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support and follow the Hayagiku for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.